Eli Yamin for the Jazz Academy, and today I'm joined by one of my favorite violinists, Sara Caswell, who really knows how to swing. And I was just wondering, what are some of your favorite things about jazz?
Well, I love the way jazz feels. You know, there's a really great groove and a really infectious rhythm that has always grabbed me from the very beginning when I first heard it.
And did you start out playing jazz?
I actually started playing classical when I was young, about 5 years old, and I started with Suzuki, which is the way a lot of young string players do.
And how did you get that great groovy feeling on the violin?
Well, you know, I listened a lot. I listened to a lot of the great masters that we all look to for inspiration, like Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie and Miles Davis. Guys who really knew how to find that rhythm and find that groove and just that spirit of creativity that's so much a part of what we do as musicians. Mm-hmm. And you know, it was interesting because obviously when I was listening to them, they don't play the violin. They're playing instruments that are horns, like alto sax and trumpet. So when I was practicing, I was definitely learning how to take what they were playing and maybe kind of imitate those sounds and those gestures that they were doing, so that what I was playing sounded like what they did. And sometimes that didn't always go along with some of the classical technique that I was learning from Suzuki. Mm-hmm. And one of the concepts that was definitely challenging in the beginning was the concept of bowing. Now, when we think about bowing, composers like Beethoven and Mozart, we typically think about slurring from strong beat to strong beat. So if we were in a 4/4 meter, we'd slur from beats 1 and 2 and then beats 3 and 4. So it would sound like this. So what you're doing by doing that particular bowing pattern is kind of emphasizing the most important beats 1 and 3. Now, as most people know who are taking some jazz lessons and listening a lot to jazz music, that's not how the beat structure necessarily is in jazz. Usually the strong beats are on beats 2 and 4. So we take that idea of slurring the strong beats together and we just shift it over a little bit. So it sounds like this. Now, it might sound a little, not as discernible a difference right now, but if I were to take the tempo up a little bit, 1, 2, 3, You start to hear, I got a little bit faster there toward the end, and you can hear how that bowing pattern suddenly makes the music lift a little bit more and sound a little bit more like jazz. So this concept of slurring notes together from beats 2 and 4, or from the offbeat to the onbeat, is something that we kind of want to do sparingly. Obviously, if we do all of our notes slurred, it gets a little bit stiff sounding, and it's difficult for it to really have that variation in texture that we go for when we're improvising. So one of the great things that we can do is to practice all kinds of different bowing variations over our scales so that we get comfortable using our bow in all kinds of different ways, in all kinds of different circumstances. So I'm going to give you 3 or 4 bowing patterns that kind of help open our palette of possibilities with bowings. So we're going to do this one for starters. Just a basic quarter note kind of pattern where we're slurring from the offbeat to the onbeat. Okay, we're going to use G major as our scale du jour. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and. Now, I went on more of a slower side, tempo-wise, but you can certainly, amp the tempo up just a little bit, and it'll sound like it has a little bit more swing to it. Let's do that one again a little bit faster. All right, so the next one we're going to do has a little more motion to it. So this one is going to be constant eighth notes, and what's going to happen is there's going to be a little slur embedded there in between the fourth and fifth notes. You'll see it, and you'll hear it, which is the more important thing. 1, 2, 3, and. Cool? All right, the last one I'm going to show you also incorporates a little bit of rhythmic variation. So again, we're putting a slur in there, but then we're also kind of making some fun rhythms to go along with it. So here's our pattern. 1, 2, 3, and. So what you're doing, you're preparing yourself for all kinds of different situations where these little bowing patterns that I've introduced to you will be used. So again, it's just one of these things where it's fun to just try out all kinds of different possibilities and see where your bow takes you.